Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Well, another edition of Know the Rules.
Oh boy, I'm guessing you're referring to fouling a player when there's an inbound going on.
See, here's the bothersome part to me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a high school player, I can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If it's a college player, to a point I can understand.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to class, there's a limited amount of time of practice, the whole thing. Coaches try to go over as many situations as possible.
Things happen.
When you are a pro,
Mm-hmm.
it is the only thing you do.
Yes.
Yes, you have to go home and you may have a family or whatever, right? But it's all you do, which means when you get to the end of the game, you must enter the ball first, then foul, and keep it a one-possession game. You don't foul before the ball enters because it's a technical foul plus the ball. And now
it's a free point.
It's a free point, which then allows you to then foul again, which gives you probably two more free points. And now a 1 point game becomes magically a 4 point game because of a lack of intelligence.
And that is what happened in Madison Square Garden last night, where outside of just that, a lot happened. I'm a Knicks fan. I love how my Knicks played. I think Jalen Brunson at the end of the game became a hero, as he has recently. Dante DiVincenzo made shots. Josh Hart was amazing. It was a rough watch from a mutual fan's perspective because the referees were downright bad. And I can say that as a Knicks fan. It was bad. There was some bad calls all over the floor in this game.
Yes, there were.
There was bad calls left, right, and center. And I know it's going to come out. I don't know if it has yet or not. The 2-minute report. I know they released it. I remember when they did for the last few games of the Knicks 76ers series, where, of course, there was a lot of controversy with refs. The same thing happened in this game where there was a foul called, I believe, on Tyrese Halliburton that they reviewed or challenged. And there was a kicked ball that you could not challenge because you cannot review a kicked ball. Then there was another kickball. It was just like a lot of things. And then the refs called a moving screen on Miles Turner. A lot of things happening in the game people are not happy with the refs about. But I want to start with the last one. The big one at the end of the game, the moving screen on Miles Turner. Was it a moving screen? Yes, it was.
That wasn't the call, though.
They called it a moving screen.
They said that DiVincenzo didn't see it.
Oh.
Listen to his explanation. Yeah. Okay, his explanation was not, yes, it's a moving screen, but the DiVincenzo didn't have a chance to react to it because that's what he actually ended up calling.
Okay,
that was his explanation. That's one thing about the NBA. The college basketball, some places are doing it. Some places are doing it. Not every place is doing it. But as you've heard me say 1,000 times, tell the crowd what you are calling.
Yeah.
Right? They paid the money. Okay? They shouldn't be sitting there and guessing.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're right.
All right? Okay? They paid to park. They paid the gas. They pay the concessions. They paid for the tickets. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? They should be the first ones to know.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Okay? Not the last ones to know. And in the NBA, they at least now let everybody know. Okay? At least do it. Every arena, including the Bryce Jordan Center, should be equipped with this. Yeah, you should be equipped with it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, okay, everybody here should know.
Have Jeff Brown hold a microphone and give it to the ref and say, here.
They've got a mic all set up down there. Just do it. Just
it's not crazy.
Tell them.
Not rocket science.
They do it in Beaver Stadium, right? College football. college basketball is a mixed bag right now. A couple of places do it, but here's the maddening part. A couple of places that are doing it, like you're sitting there like, okay, and he'll speak into the microphone. He's telling the TV people. He's not telling us. Like, what is wrong with this sport?
A lot.
I mean,
a lot is
what
wrong,
is
Steve.
wrong with it?
A lot is wrong with it. But it was a lot of bad calls, a lot of weird things. I saw a lot of fans being like, it wasn't a moving screen. It was a moving screen. The reasoning, as we said, was odd, but it was a moving screen, and it should have probably been called. It's moving screens at this point in the NBA are a lot like holding calls in the NFL, where like there's probably one most times, but they're not always called. This was called at like the worst time possible for the Pacers, but it was the correct decision.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah, it was fair.
I mean, look, I had no problem with the call. I mean, now, Bill Lambier and Rick Mahorn may have had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a foul?
It was,
what are you talking about?
It was something last night listening to. But the big thing for me after this game is if the Pacers were going to steal one, this was the game to do it, because the Knicks respectfully did not play. But like the fact that the Knicks, but if you are them, let's just go through real fast. If you are the Pacers and you win game one
in
MSG, it gives you all of this momentum, and you can lose game two, but be up with the home court. You need to win one of the two.
Right.
Last night was the night to do it because Jalen Brunson, up until that fourth quarter, was not playing well. DiVincenzo wasn't really playing well. The Knicks just had issues all over the court, and that was the night to do it. Their best player shot 6 shots. I get Tyrese Halliburton is currently still trying to recover from a bunch of health issues, but he needs to be the best player on the court for the Pacers to win this game. He went 2 for 6 with 8 assists.
No, I mean
that is not good enough.
For the most part, the Knicks are a good defensive team.
Yeah, the Knicks are a good defensive team
for the most part.
And the Pacers got 18 points from T.J. McConnell off the bench, 12 from Obi Toppin, and across the board they got contributions. The one person who didn't contribute was their best player.
Remember when T.J. McConnell played at Duquesne?
T.J. McConnell, hey. He has been on fire this playoffs. He has been lighting the world alight.
Look, I give him a ton of credit. Remember he was at Duquesne. I think he transferred to Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Dude is very, very, very good at basketball. But the Knicks won. Jalen Brunson with his 4th 40-point game in a row. He tied Bernard King and Michael Jordan with 4. The only one with more than that is the logo, Jerry West, who had 6 straight 40-point games in the playoffs. It's pretty good company to be in if you're Jalen Brunson.
Jerry West won 1 championship.
Yes, but it counts.
He got to the finals a lot.
He did.
It's not his fault they lost.
It is not. I also want to highlight real quick, Josh Hart did not sit a minute in this game. Not a second.
He hasn't. He's rarely sat during the playoffs.
He has rarely sat. Him, Jalen Brunson, and Dante DiVincenzo and OG Anunoby have played the most minutes of any players this playoffs. Like in terms of equal numbers of games, they have played the most minutes. They are troopers and warriors for playing 40-plus minutes a game. It's a lot, and they are doing it very well. The Knicks are basically a 5-man rotation with 3 guys who sometimes come in with Precious Achiuwa, Mitchell Robinson, Miles McBride, and it's just when you need either foul trouble, you take Hartenstein out, put Robinson in, or put Achiuwa in. You chuck Miles McBride in when someone of the guards needs a minute or foul trouble or what have you. But the Knicks are playing really well. They won this game number 1. But that was it was a great game. It was a great game to watch. It was a dogfight, and this series clearly is going to be a dogfight again for the Knicks before they get to face the Celtics.
As opposed to the route in the West.
And the route in the West, and which, before we get to the whole discussion of the game, do you know who scored a basket last night for the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, Jalen Pickett.
Jalen Pickett scored a basket for the Nuggets, won 2 of their 80 points. Because they had their lowest point total at any point this season last night because the Minnesota Timberwolves, without the defensive player of the year,
Gobert, who's his wife had a baby.
He had his baby got delivered at like 2 p.m. before this game tipped off. So he flew back to Minnesota for the birth of his child, got there in time for the birth of his child, was there, and now his team comes home to Minnesota, up 2-zip. He now has a new child, and this team...
They're playing great.
Defensively,
they're playing great.
They were the number one defense in the NBA all season, and it was talked about, but I don't think it was discussed enough just how good they are defensively. Like Anthony Edwards, we'll just start with him on the defensive side of things. He is one of the best two-way players in the NBA currently. He will give you 27 points, and he will rip your heart out, and he will also defend Jamal Murray the whole night. It says something about the player, is that he is the best player on your team, and he's going to defend and go on offense the entire game, nonstop. Mike Conley, he's not as good as he used to be, but he's still pretty good at defense. And then you've got Jaden McDaniels, who's like 6'7" with a 7'10" wingspan. You've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the same thing, where he's got this crazy wingspan. All of these guys. There was one play where Jamal Murray was trying to get past him, couldn't do anything. Karl Anthony Towns, he defended well. Kyle Anderson, he defends well. Like the entire team is just defensively good. Naz Reid had like 3 straight blocks on Jokic in one possession. All of them defensively, very strong. And the guy who wasn't there, as we just said, is the defensive player of the year for the 4th time this year. 4-time defensive player of the year, was not with the team for the game.
Yeah, the Bruins defenseman was there for the birth of his child, flew down and scored a goal last night.
But they didn't need him. And the Denver Nuggets looked bad.
They're private planes.
Yes. But what matters is the T-Wolves did this without Rudy Gobert. They don't have a 2-0 series lead in this game, which looked downright disrespectful. Jamal Murray.
Remember, Minnesota spent the vast majority of the season in the number 1 seed spot.
They did.
Because of a couple circumstances, a couple games they lost late, a couple games somebody else won. They ended up being a very narrow 3rd seed.
Yeah, they are the 3rd seed by it was a 2-game margin or whatever.
But they spent most of the season in the 1 spot. And to their credit, I mean, I thought they were going to lose this thing in 6. Now they may win the thing in 6.
They may win the thing in 4. They are on pace to do that.
Oh no, they're. I mean, 2-0 lead going home.
And part of this is going to be what the NBA does with Jamal Murray. Because did you see what happened last night by any chance?
I was asleep.
Jamal Murray during the game was mad, angry, whatever.
At 10.
It did start. It started very late. He was at this point 1 for 10 in the first half.
It was 50-30 when I went.
It was 50-30 after you went to bed. He was mad. He was on the bench. He had an ice pack and a towel. He throws the towel on the court, hits the referee. The referee does not notice it, but it hits him. And then afterwards, the Timberwolves are down near the basket. He throws a heat pack on the floor. It lands right next to Karl Anthony Towns' foot as he's going up to shoot a shot or shoot a layup. He makes the layup. Cat then lands directly next to this heat pack and then runs down. The ref stops play. Is like, where did this heat pack come from? The expectation is he's going to get either at least a technical post-mortem or suspended because he's throwing things on the court. And there's video of TNT showed of him literally throwing it on the court, which respectfully you cannot do, especially as a player. The fact that he didn't get a technical for it in the game and Michael Malone ran at, I think it was Mark Davis, shouting at him, cussing at him, and didn't get a technical when Anthony Edwards gets one for staring someone down for 2 seconds is bananas. Just all of it was crazy, and the T-Wolves made the Nuggets look bad, which I don't think we've seen them pretty much ever do look bad. Jokic has looked like a Superman every single game. He did not look good.
No.
Yeah, he had 16 points and 16 rebounds, 8 assists. That don't mean diddly when your team loses by 26 and is down by 31 at some point in the third quarter. Like, Anthony Edwards was punking them. He was just having fun. He was smiling the entire game.
when he came out of Georgia after being a one and done, I thought, all right, well, he's a talented kid. He'll go to Minnesota. He'll get buried. You know, in terms of I don't mean buried in the lineup, but in terms of national consciousness, because Minnesota's still not going to go anywhere. He is a legitimately outstanding offensive player, and he's taking Minnesota places.
Mm-hmm.
And I give him, because that's not what I expected he'd be fine in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like I thought he'd be fine in the vein of, Sacramento gets the first overall pick and nobody sees the guy except for the futures game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
No, he is legitimately just a great offensive player. Great shot, great ball movement, plays good team basketball. He is, and he's a decent enough defender.
Mm-hmm. He's more than decent.
Yeah.
He is taking Jamal Murray on for most of the game.
And
he's defending him.
I mean, he is really good, and it's not a good sign that Tom Crean couldn't win with him.
No. And what I think makes me laugh the most is I always enjoy sometimes looking back at what is this player's issue, I guess, when the drafts are going on, of like what's the pitfall of this player, what's the issues here and there. His was, does he really want to win?
Well, it's hard to tell when you go okay, you play 1 year at Georgia, and I don't know what his high school background is. I have no idea. I have no idea if he was on state championship teams or whatever. Georgia's been a bastion of basketball mediocrity for a long time.
Yeah.
And so you only play 1 year. I'll give you, okay. You always have to ask this question when you have a great talent who's playing on a losing team. Remember Smith from NC State? I think he ended up going to Dallas.
Yeah.
It was a one and done. Right? You watch him at NC State, and you're like, okay, he's obviously the best player they have. Sure, that's fine. He goes to the NBA, and he's just another guy. Well, you have to ask that when a guy is on a losing team. You don't ask that about Zion Williamson. He's coming out of Duke. Well, the guy on the losing team, Edwards, is an exponentially better NBA player than Zion Williamson because, again, ability is gauged a lot by availability.
Yes.
Okay? Well, Edwards plays every game. Williams watches the majority of his games. Right? And who's made himself into the better player? They're different positions, but Edwards is. So one came from a winning program and has a winning perception. The other one came from a one-and-done losing program. Thus, you would have, quote, questions about wanting to win. I mean, like I said, Smith was a great example down at NC State. Right? And it ended up getting Godfrey got fired because of it. Yeah. Well, how can you have a guy, a one and done, this talent kind of guy, top 10 NBA pick, and you're losing, have a losing record, blah, blah, blah. And I think he's coaching out on the West Coast now or something like that. He also got NC State into some trouble. But, I mean, like, okay. So that's when it's a one and done and it's not a winning team. When it's a one and done and it's not a blue blood. Georgia's not a blue blood in basketball. Right? If he had played at Kentucky, he played at Kentucky. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox. It's like played at Kentucky. And Fox, by the way, is really good. Yeah, he is really good. He's played great for Sacramento. But those are the questions you have when you remember I talked about selecting quarterbacks with losing records. Yeah. Right? Well, this is one of those, like, it's the first overall pick in the draft. You're like, well, if he's such a great player, how come they didn't at least have a winning record? Well, maybe we should look at the other four guys.
Well, it makes me laugh when I look back at that because they were like, we don't know if he actually is mentality. They were like, he looks too lackadaisical. No, it's just who he is. Like, he, in all his interviews, he's just himself. And he's always smiling. He's always having fun. He's flexing, having fun, just he's being himself. Also, he's 22 years old. He's younger than me. Yeah, I know. He was born August of 2001. Yeah. He's 22, and he is this good. Yeah. And he also is a movie star. Like, that's another thing. He was in the Adam Sandler film, and he was awesome. it's just
Wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know. That's okay. But just looking back on it, he is great. By the way, Gottfried is the head coach of Cal State, so you were correct on the West Coast. But Anthony Edwards is
Cal State, what, Northridge or
Cal State Northridge Matadors. But Anthony Edwards is a very good basketball player. Now they go back to the Target Center, up to zip, they have no pressure on them now. All the pressure is pretty much for this game 3 off, I think.
No. I always hear that all the time. And that's another one of the myths of sports.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of myths in sports, which shows like this exploit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Most pressure in life is self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves, this group of individuals, has never been in this spot before.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're facing the defending world champions.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sit there and you don't take that part lightly. Okay? That team over there knows how to win.
Mm-hmm.
They proved it last year. They won 16 times in April, May, and June last year. Right? They just eliminated the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They did it in 5 games. Right? This is not a group you take lightly. You are not facing the 8th seed that won the play-in game. You are playing, you're up 2 games to none. This is where you need to show the killer instinct. It's quite the opposite. And pressure is different for each person because each person puts their own self-imposed pressure on themselves. Right? That's why you'll get coaches going up to, or managers and telling certain guys, look, you got to relax. Okay? It's all right. Okay? You got to relax. Some people, you got to tell them to kick it up a couple notches. Drew Holiday, okay, the Celtics go back home to play the Heat in the 5th game. Drew Holiday calls a quick, okay, no big deal, just a quick, I want to talk to everybody. And he told them, he says, look, go out there and attack this thing tonight. Do not take it lightly. He says it's so important to get rid of this team and have several days off. This is from a guy who has a ring. Hey, he has a ring with the Milwaukee Bucks. So he understands the grind of it. So the Celtics went back home, and instead of being lackadaisical about it and saying they've got it made and there's no pressure on us, they blew that team out. And that's why, they're playing with house money. You're not playing with it's the playoffs. You have to win 16 times.
Yeah.
You have to win 16 times. What's this? Okay, I just watched Denver win 4 out of 5 against the Lakers. Who's to say they don't win 4 of the next 5 in this series?
True.
Right? Okay? I mean, again, these are things that if you're young, but if for people who've been around the block, and Murray's been around the block, and Jokic has been around the block, and Gordon's been around the block, I mean, they all have, okay? And let's face it, a guy like Rudy Gobert coming back, not exactly tons of awesome playoff memories, okay? He was teamed with Donovan Mitchell for a few years at Utah. Donovan Mitchell acted like the weight of the world was off his shoulders because they closed out Orlando to get to the next round against the Celtics. It's all self-imposed. Every game brings with it its own pressure. If you go out there like, okay, you got a mate, they're going to smack you in the mouth. And guess what? You open the door to that group, they think they're back in it. They think they're back in it. So there's no such thing as house money. Right? There's no such thing as the pressure is completely off. Right? I'll never forget talking to Derek Williams about playing with the Detroit Lions when they went 0-16. Right? The pressure on them mounted every game. And they weren't even close to anything. They needed to win a game, and they couldn't win a game. And the pressure got greater every game. They didn't sit there and go, well, hey, look, we get one today. That's great. We're playing with house money. It was quite the opposite. So when you talk to people that are in it, they don't take that attitude, right? They're not a fan. They're not a media person. They are a participant. And that's why when we talk about, I know we've talked a totally different topic about tanking. Players don't tank.
Yeah.
Their jobs are on the line. Okay?
They like job security.
I don't need to be cut. Okay? I'm the quarterback out there. My team is in a position for the number 1 overall pick. I don't need you picking the dude. I am already playing the position. See, there are all sorts of myths that are just all that are great for discussion on shows like this, but they're myths. Right? They don't bring into account the reality of the situation. Right? And the Timberwolves cannot let this team off the hook. Can't. Right? The Yankees let the Red Sox off the hook in 2004.
Yeah.
Right?
You know how that ended.
Kevin Millar kept going around all the way around to every player. Kept saying to them, don't let us win tonight. Don't let us win tonight. Don't let us win tonight. Well, they won that night and didn't lose. Not only the next 3, they didn't lose in the World Series either. They won the next 7 games after they won that night. They won 8 in a row to close out the season. Okay? When you've got somebody on the ropes, and the Red Sox and the Yankees in 2004 were a great team. They went to the World Series the year before, lost to the Marlins. They're back now with another chance. They're hungry. They've got their rival on the rope, right? Turned out the rival was they knew they were a great team because they beat him the year before in 7. And they gave him life. When Dave Roberts stole second and Bill Miller drove him in, right? Then Ortiz won it with the home run in extra innings. They gave a great team life.
So the T-Wolves
the Minnesota Timberwolves cannot allow a great team to have life.
They need to kill off the Nuggets now.
Yes.
Kill them off in Minnesota. Get it done.
You've got it. You're at home. You're okay. Win tonight or whenever they play tomorrow night.
Their next game is Friday.
Oh, okay.
It is Friday the 10th. And in between then, tonight is the defensive player.
But you see what I'm saying, though. You can't let a great team
Don't give them a game.
Hook.
Just get it done.
Do not let them breathe.
Get it done tonight. And they also, as we've kind of stated now, do not know when the next series might end because the Mavericks and Thunder could go 7 games. If you can get this done early, give yourself a week off or a week and a half off. That'd be nice to rest up some players who might be tired after having to go against the Nuggets for a little bit.
Well, you just talked about the Knicks and Pacers series where Hart played all 48 minutes. Right?
And he played like 48 minutes for 8 straight games before that.
Okay, that's an example of a team like if they get I think the Indiana thing's going to go deeper than that. But if they could somehow close it out in such a way where they get a little time off, I mean, a world of good.
It will. But in between these games for the Timberwolves and Nuggets, tonight the Defensive Player of the Year is going to get announced, and then tomorrow the MVP is going to get announced. The projection is that Rudy Gobert will win his 4th ever Defensive Player of the Year tonight, and then tomorrow Jokic will win. And they will have to sit on the fact that he's the MVP going into more games, and he will need to show he is that good. I know we've discussed awards, whatever. Victor Wembanyama, it was announced last night, won Rookie of the Year unanimously. No surprises there. He was going to win it, and he did because he is awesome.
He's a very good player.
Very, very good player.
He has some outstanding skills. I only watched a few minutes of him in a couple of games this year, and one was like, "Oh wow, he's really good." And another one's like, "Okay, tell me what he does."
And
they're not surrounded like a great cast.
Do you know why the Nuggets were the 2 seed and the Timberwolves were the 3 seed? It's because Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs beat the Nuggets on the second to final day of the season.
Right. Yeah.
So because of Wembanyama, this is in part now why we are here now.
But, awards are great because it's great. The recognition is tremendous. There's no getting around it.
And
you want to be known as the Rookie of the Year. You want to be known as the MVP. You want to be known as the Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, But it does get to the point where ask Jokic what's more valuable to him, the ring or the award.
He'll say the ring, as he should. And now we get to wait and see.
And he was the playoff MVP last year, too. So.
And now we get to wait and see what is going to happen with the Nuggets, whether Jamal Murray might be assessed a technical foul following the game, what the deal with that is, because we just don't know. Because that's going to be, because you can't chuck things on the court. You can't do that. So I'm just intrigued to see what will happen.
Despite, I've got pictures of you in the Carrier Dome throwing things.
All right. I've never thrown an item in the Carrier Dome, except for my voice.
Which arena was it?
No words, no comment. But the fact that they got it on camera of him throwing this heating pad at a referee and almost tripping up Karl Anthony Towns, not great for Jamal Murray. You can't
get away with anything anywhere because they have cameras trained on people all the time. I'll never forget when Christian Hackenberg, right? They got him on the sideline several times, upset about this, that, and the other thing. Well, he's the quarterback. They have a camera on him all the time, like only on him. Only on him.
Yeah.
Same thing, coaches, only on them because they want the reaction shots. Well, the same thing with the bench. Yeah. They got a camera trained on that bench. Of course they caught him doing it because they have a camera that's specifically trained on the bench because they're looking for reaction shots. If Karl Anthony Towns goes up and does a reverse slam or whatever, they'll have a reaction on the T-Wolves bench, a reaction on the Denver bench, and some fan in the stands that doesn't know who he is.
And it was seen. We could see it happening. And I wonder what the NBA might do, if they may fine him, suspend him, give him a tech. We just don't know. So we've got a few days to figure this out and listen. But now going over to the other set of playoffs that are going on in both New York and Boston as well, and Dallas and Colorado and pretty much everywhere. Yeah. The Bruins are up 1-0.
The Bruins, let's give them credit. They played Game 7, which was a grinding game with Toronto on Saturday night. Flew down to Broward County and fell behind 1-0, and then flat out blew them out. They won 5-1. To me, to this point, if I had to pick somebody that would be on the backstretch with the lead for the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the playoff MVP in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Swayman, the goalie for the Bruins, has been phenomenal. Just phenomenal. It's another. I don't think he's given up more than 2 goals in a game, and he gave up just 1 last night. Pasternak is now flying around, that playoff overtime winner that he got in Game 7. But they came out and they played with some juice last night. The Rangers play tonight, I believe.
They play tonight at 7 o'clock against Carolina. The Kings. Yeah.
That's a great series, but the Rangers are the better all-around team. And I think that – but that first game was a total grinding game. I was listening to the final minute on the radio, Sam Rosen still doing the Rangers games. And you could tell, like, when it was done, they were relieved. Right? They were relieved. And but you're down to the final 8 teams. And you got later in the week, Edmonton will take on Vancouver.
The Canucks and Oilers play tomorrow night, and then the Stars and Avalanche play tonight.
Yeah. And you have, we always talk about the stars available in the NBA playoffs. Now, Curry's gone, Durant's gone, LeBron's gone, Davis is gone. You still have Edwards, obviously, Jokic, Murray.
Brunson, I'd put in there now.
Brunson's a star. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. I mean, you still have guys like Donovan Mitchell. Okay, Halliburton's emerging as one.
Luka
Doncic,
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yeah.
All right, but the Stanley Cup has that as well. You have Marchand and Pasternak. You have Kachuk. Okay, you have the Rangers have a series of stars, right? Carolina, when they acquired Gensel, he's not even the biggest star on the team. Yeah, you still have McKinnon playing. Makar is playing. Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid is playing.
Not bad.
Right? You have some of the biggest stars in the game on the NHL side still playing the game. I think Edmonton's the most explosive team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to me, the best all-around team that really plays hard and cohesive are the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they play hard. They play cohesive. There's not a star system on that team. There's a lot of things about watching the Rangers that really impress me when I watch them play. They are not going to flash and dash you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Shesterkin, terrific in the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I just think that they have. This is going to be a tough, grinding series, but they've got enough to win the cup. The Bruins have enough to win it. We all know Colorado does.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't want to leave Dallas out. It's almost like getting past Vegas was a relief. But Edmonton is the one I look at. Can they find enough defense to win? Because between McDavid and Draisaitl, and you start going through all the guys that can put the puck in the net, the question is, are they good enough? Is Skinner good enough in the net?
And we'll find
to make
out.
a difference. Now, he needs help in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's one thing. Edmonton is not good enough in front of their guy.
People always blame, in so many sports, blame the keeper. They're like, it's their fault. Is it their fault they're getting, if you're Skinner in net and he's getting 40 shots at him every game? It's not his fault.
Well, in other words, if you're not cleaning out guys in front of the net, or you get haphazard and you're turning the puck over, well, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Right? Because last night, Bahagi was out in on a breakaway. Swayman stopped him. Swayman's been, to me, he has been the pivotal player so far through the opening round and into the second round of the playoffs. There's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Right? The Bruins now have 5 wins. They need 11 more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right? The Rangers have 5 wins. They need 11 more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's a long, tough road to handle. And this is the ultimate, it's not just a game at a time. Okay? So back to the Timberwolves series with Denver. This is the ultimate possession game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't waste possessions. Okay? Same thing in the NHL. You don't waste a shift. You can't. You're trying to win the whole thing. You can't sit there and waste one out there. Right? The happy-go-lucky time in January is like, well, okay, we lost to the Islanders. That's all right. Like, okay.
Yeah. Can you tell me as I was just thinking about this, because currently, let's say the Bruins or Rangers make the finals, hypothetically. They both play in the same arenas as their NBA counterparts, the Knicks or Celtics. So if one of the two makes the finals, one of the Knicks Celtics could as well. Can you name me the last time 2 teams played in the same arena that both made the finals to that extent?
That both made the finals?
Both made the finals, same city, played at the same time. So NHL, NBA is the one sport you could have that with. There have been a few places where teams in the same areas made it.
Yeah, but not the same arena.
Yeah.
Made the finals.
Mm-hmm. Both made the finals. Didn't have to win, but just needed to make the finals.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, I would, I'm just trying to click off cities in my head. I can't really come up with for example, you say, well, the Lakers have won a lot, but the Kings have only been there X amount of times.
And it's been recently, and at that point, the Lakers weren't great.
Right, so and then the Kings weren't great before when the Lakers were winning. I mean, the Celtics and Bruins have both had great runs. So finals.
Give me your best guess of a year.
Best guess of a year?
Let's go a year. Why not?
No, I can't even do it 1999.
99. Well, the last one where both teams played in the same arena was 2003. The New Jersey Nets and New Jersey Devils both played at Continental Airlines Arena. The Devils won in 7, and then the Nets lost to the Spurs in 6. Before that was the Knicks and Rangers in 94 as well.
Oh, you're talking about the same city.
Same city, yeah.
No. I thought you meant both teams.
Yeah, both teams played in the same arena.
No. I thought you were talking about like facing each other.
Oh, no.
See, I was going. No. I thought you were talking like Boston playing Los Angeles, so the Lakers played the Celtics and the Kings.
Oh,
played the
that would be chaos.
Okay,
that's impossible.
No, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what the heck's he talking about?
That's one step too far.
Okay.
But the last one was the Nets and Devils, both in 2003.
And that arena doesn't even exist anymore.
No, it does not, because it was downright terrible.
I did a game in there. In fact, I did a couple games in there.
It was an arena that existed. And the one before that was the Knicks and Rangers, then the Bulls.
The first time I did a game in there was against Cal in the Jimmy V Classic. They had this forward by the name of Gonzalez. He's now on Amazon Prime on Thursday Night Football.
His name is Tony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
A pretty interesting player.
Yeah.
But I just thought about that because I was like, what happens if, because the Bruins and Rangers both play.
Yeah, but they carve out dates.
I know. Do the Stars also play in the same arena?
Yes, American Airlines Arena.
And then the Avalanche with the Nuggets,
they play in the Pepsi Center.
So there is a chance that this could happen, where let's say either both Dallas or both Denver teams versus either a Boston or a New York. How would you feel if you were one of those grounds crews who did constantly? I know we discussed it yesterday, but every single night in one of these cities for like a week straight, you're changing out the arena every night for these games. It's crazy.
Well, I take the overtime, and I go out and get a vacation in the summer just based on the overtime.
Yeah. And if you are a fan of either city, you're going to pay a lot of money for tickets.
Yeah, you will.
But you could see 2 championship banners raised, which would not be that bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with both the NHL and NBA playoffs as the seasons progress, because both are in playoff time, and it's very, very much so fun to watch. We have not discussed a lot about baseball. Have you talked a lot about baseball at least, or thought about it a little bit in terms of how teams are doing so far this season? Phillies
are playing great.
That they are.
Starting pitching is exemplary. Zach Wheeler, Nola. Walker pitched well the other night. Bullpen's been fine to this point for the Phillies. Bohm is having a tremendous season at the plate. When he played at Williamsport, loved his bat. He was the 3rd overall pick in the draft out of Wichita State. Loved his bat. So he's played here at Medler Field, LeBron Park. And what I didn't like about him was in the field. I said to somebody from the Phillies organization, they said, what do you think of him? I said, I mentioned all the positives. I said, here's the negative. I said, he's a DH. I said, he's so stiff out there. He says, anything hit to the left side, it looks like it's a struggle for him to bend down and get it. Well, now you look at him play third base, and he plays like he is a flexible, smart, and by the way, they can flip him over and play first base as well. They've got Turner out of the lineup right now. He's out at least 6 weeks. So last night they took Bryson Stott. They moved him to shortstop for the first time this season. And Whit Merrifield, see, this is why you get that all-around guy, that under-the-radar signing in the
Ben
offseason,
Zobrist, some may say.
Right? Where he can play all 3 outfield positions. He can play infield positions. That's why you get a guy like this. Now he's out there. He played second base last night. He can play third. He can play in the outfield. There are a lot of things you can do with him. The Braves are off to a really good start. Pitching's been good, but
even though
Spencer Strider's out for the year, that's a big loss. Ohtani is now starting to crush the ball.
11 homers.
But nobody knows because nobody ever sees the Dodgers play on TV. They're on the West Coast.
By the way, Philly's the best team in baseball by record right now.
Yeah.
They're number 1.
All right. The Yankees are obviously off to a great start, but the Orioles are playing better than they are.
Number 2 team in baseball.
Okay, Gunnar Henderson's off to a great start with them again, showing that last year was no fluke. He's just a legit player. They had to take Holiday and send him back down, but he'll be back up with them. I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
But it also, the explanation that was given is the right one, which is he got to see he got to see the pros, and now he knows what he has to figure out and fix in the minors in a place where he dominated.
That's fine.
You can give him time, and they don't need him right now. There is no need for him today.
Right. I mean, the White Sox are awful.
But they did sweep the Houston Astros.
Right. And the Astros are having an inexplicable season to this point. That it's not like they flushed all the talent on that team. They still have the talent on that team.
Yeah.
They aren't winning.
They're the 5th worst team in baseball.
And nobody takes them lightly. Right? Kansas City is playing better than they are. And Bobby Witt Jr. is off to a tremendous start for them. The Pirates are baffling because they should be better than they are. So I went and saw the Red Sox play the Pirates a couple of weeks ago. And look, the Red Sox, to be honest with you, Alex Cora is doing a phenomenal job. They put out a line. Remember, at this point, Casas was on the IL, Devers was on the IL, O'Neill was on the IL, Trevor Story's out for the year. Right? Like these are the main dudes in their lineup. They're all out.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and they announced the lineup. I'm like, who are these people? Right? I thought I was watching the Worcester Red Sox. So the Pirates put out O'Neill Cruz, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Andrew McCutchen, Swazinski. Right? I'm looking at their lineup going, wow, man for man. Right? Pirates have a better lineup. The Red Sox won 6-1. Right? It was a bullpen day.
Yeah.
Their starting pitching, the Red Sox starting pitching, is fabulous. In fact, their pitching all the way through is fabulous. And that's, I mean, they don't, Cutter Crawford and those guys, they don't give up a lot of runs. Tanner Houck, they don't give up a lot of runs. The Pirates, on the other hand, should be better. I don't understand why they're not better than they are.
They're sitting currently 17-19. So they're about 500.
They took Henry Davis. Remember, they got to a better start than that, though. They took Henry Davis. They shipped him down to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Skeens is still there. Man, there's going to have to come a point where they bring them both back up together and just say, the heck with it. Let's just go.
Now we get to wait for the when, pretty much.
Now, you don't want... Okay. I am one of the keys to doing this job is listening. And by listening, when you have an opportunity to then speak yourself, you can give people better perspective because you listened. So something I heard all the time from Joe Paterno was, I'd rather play a guy one game too late than one game too soon. Because you play them too soon, there's a possibility you can wreck their confidence and their path. If you wait that one extra game, right, the timing is just right. Okay? So with Skeens, maybe they're just like, although they're doing the typical Pirate thing. Right, when they were here in State College, it would drive me nuts. Right? And we're going into the third inning of play. And what do you mean the starting pitcher's out? He's out? His pitch count was 45? He threw 39 pitches. Like, what do you mean he's done? That's it. Like, what? This was his 5th start. Like, they're a pitch count oriented, and they baby their guys along. Skeens has been on these pitch counts. I think he's up to, 60 or 65 now is his new number.
He has thrown 7 games, 27.1 innings, and he finally, in his most recent game in Indianapolis, allowed his first home run.
Right.
He has a .99 ERA in the MILB.
Look, he was
Crazy.
He was a Friday night starter for LSU, for goodness sakes.
Mm-hmm.
He throws a lot of innings. Okay, turn him loose.
Yeah.
Okay, you pitched him in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
He has shown no sign of arm trouble. Let him pitch.
He has thrown a total of 12 games throughout all the different minors, including the end of last season and this season. 34 innings through 12 starts, a 1.85 ERA.
That's less than 3 innings.
He has allowed a total of 8 runs, 7 earned, and the singular home run. He has struck out 55 batters.
I know. I have 55 batters in 36 innings.
Not bad. 34 innings.
Or 34 innings.
He's
okay.
averaging almost 2 an inning.
I mean, it's
crazy.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to have a plan for him.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bring him up and have him be a 4-inning pitcher.
At least give him 5.
Okay,
bare minimum.
No, I'm saying though, but in other words, that's where he is right now.
Which is crazy.
You've got to stretch him out more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's not a kid. Okay, what is he? 22, 23 now?
He is later this month. He is going to be 22. He's currently 21.
Right. Because you have to go 3 years of college if you go to college. That's why I'm saying he's got to be okay. Stretch him out.
Mm-hmm.
And this, to be honest with you, Steven Strasburg announced his retirement a couple months ago, even though he hasn't pitched the league.
Yeah.
Rookie year, pitching great.
Mm-hmm.
They get to August. The Nationals have a chance to make the playoffs. They shut him down. He's at the pitch number. He's at the innings pitched number for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why? He seems fine. No, we don't want to get him hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Steven Strasburg spend a good chunk of his time during his career?
On the IL.
Hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, no offense, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he finally, in the World Series, when the Nationals won it in 2019, Strasburg was tremendous. He pitched so well. He pitched like the biggest of big-time guys.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's different. One formula does not work for everybody.
Yeah.
And the Pirates organization feels one formula works for everybody. It's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about, when I mean always, I mean, since I'm not talking about back when Mazeroski and Gene Alley were the double play combination and Verl Law was pitching. I'm not talking about that, okay, and Elroy Face. I'm talking about, in the last 20 some odd years, that has been their philosophy as to how they do it. Well, I can't tell you if any of these guys are any good at it because they don't sign anybody to a second contract, and except for 3 years in the teens, they have done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said, like somebody asked me about Derek Shelton. And I thought last year is the first time he really could show his chops. And I thought he did a really good job. Before then, I said, I have no idea what kind of manager he is. Mm-hmm. He's never managed a meaningful situation in his career. Mm-hmm. Now, to him, he's managing meaningful situations. Remember that part about self-imposed pressure?
He doesn't want to lose his job.
Right, yeah. But in self-imposed pressure, like every game to him is a meaningful situation. Mm-hmm. But I mean, overall, I've got to make the big choice here. It's the playoffs. It's the 7th inning. Do I go one extra batter with Paul Skeens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when was that decision made in his career?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
He hasn't even had to make that decision in August.
And I just wonder how much, I guess, this season's injury, not crisis, but like injury issues with pitchers have affected their view on Skeens, because you've got Shane Bieber, Spencer Strider, Yuri Perez, all within a couple of weeks were knocked out for the season with UCL injuries. So
who knows? I mean, and it's not it's not the pitch clock.
It's I know pitchers said we're throwing with more velocity. You're throwing with more spin and with all these things, and it's just tearing up elbows.
And I've talked to Tim Kirchin about that, and Tim told me straight out. He says, Steve, every one of them is expected to throw every pitch as hard as they can for as long as they can, right? And not only that, said, what's the new hot pitch out there? The new hot pitch is the sweeper. Well, sliders and sweepers. Sliders, the other one. Sliders. I mean, the Yankees lead the world in sliders.
Yeah.
Right. Slider, sweeper. Both put a lot of pressure on the elbow.
Yeah, they do. And it doesn't help when you're throwing them.
All right.
Like, people.
Look, let me tell you something. If I'm running a ball club, you know who I bring in to talk? Just like, let's just sit down in the office. Right? I need to talk about pitching philosophy. I bring in Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and John Smoltz. And I ask them, okay, what was your routine with the Braves that allowed you, especially Maddux and Glavine, to not miss any starts?
I mean, towards the end of their careers. Like
they never missed any starts.
Yeah.
Right? Smoltz rarely missed any starts. Like, why? Is it just that they caught the break in life and they had the physical makeup to do it, or was there something they did or didn't do?
Yeah.
Those three guys, I would sit down in the room and say, can we talk for a little bit? Like, why is it you guys were never out? What was your routine like? What was the regiment like? Right? When you got tired, was there something you did or didn't do?
Yeah. Questions. And now we're seeing guys like Strider get hurt for the second time, I believe. DeGrom hurt like every other week. And he's the best pitcher in baseball, but you can't be the best if you are on the injury reserve. And he is pretty much every week. But
ability is based on
availability.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on Sports